I'd now like to welcome Senator Hill to the podium and to present Senate Bill 350. Senator Hill, the floor is yours, and let me just say it's been a pleasure working with you to find consensus on your bill.
Well, Mr. Chair, thank you very much, and thank you for the welcome and for the opportunity to present SB 350 today. And it has been a pleasure working with you, not just this year, but throughout the years on energy issues. And I especially want to thank the committee staff and you for the hard work, Mr. Chair, on this measure. And I'm really pleased at the refinements that we were able to come together on today. And I accept all of the amendments as proposed, starting on page 7 of the analysis. Last year, in your bill, Mr. Chair, AB 1054, the legislature imposed strict conditions on PG&E to exit bankruptcy as a transformed utility. SB 350 holds PG&E accountable for meeting those requirements and provides our state with a fail-safe in case the new PG&E falls short of expectations. SB 350 authorizes the creation of a new entity, Golden State Energy, a nonprofit public benefit corporation, which would step in and take over if PG&E fails to emerge from bankruptcy or if PG&E fails to transform as required by AB 1054. SB 350 is a bill I hope we never need, because if 350 is triggered, it would mean PG&E has failed us once again. I won't go into a long discussion of PG&E's failings. We have all lived them. Far too many Californians, for far too many times, have lived them. California deserves a reformed PG&E. I hope PG&E never starts another wildfire or causes another pipeline explosion. I hope we all hope that PG&E improves its safety record and its accountability. We all hope PG&E fulfills its commitment to transform itself into a safe, reliable, affordable, and resilient utility. But our state cannot rely on hope alone. SB 350 is our contingency plan. Should the need arise, SB 350 ensures that our state can take strong and swift enforcement actions, including, if ultimately necessary, the CPUC's revocation of PG&E's license to operate. SB 350, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is also critical for wildfire victims. Should PG&E fail to exit bankruptcy, the path laid out in SB 350 is the most expeditious way to resolve the victims' settlements, as the analysis points out and the accepted amendments make clear. Colleagues, SB 350 isn't a bill we want. What we want is for PG&E to be a reformed utility. But it is a bill we need to protect PG&E's ratepayers and the state of California. So at the appropriate time, I respectfully ask for your aye vote, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We will have one primary witness in support, and we will have one additional witness in support that will testify from the back of the chamber floor. And there will be 3 additional witnesses that would like to share their concerns. The 3 additional witnesses will be testifying by phone. Phone moderator, we will call on Ana Montesantos with the Office of Governor Gavin Newsom. You may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. Ana Montesantos here. I just wanted to thank the author, thank you, thank the committee staff, and thank the members of the roundtable that worked with us in partnership for so many months on resolution of this bankruptcy in a manner that meets the needs of California for safe, reliable, clean power. Very much appreciate all of the work, appreciate the partnership, and appreciate all of the ways in which working together made for a better outcome for California. Happy to answer any questions, and that's all I got.
Thank you. I'll now call on Scott Witch with IBEW Local 1245.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members, Scott Wetch on behalf of the California Coalition of Utility Employees and IBEW Local 1245, representing the vast majority of the 24,000 employees of the Pacific Gas and Electric Company. As you know, Mr. Chairman and members, we have steadfastly opposed any proposed breakup of PG&E. What has changed today is that in working very closely with the governor's staff and with the author in a very thoughtful process, they developed a mechanism, if warranted, to create an entity that is the only entity, the only proposed entity, successor entity to PG&E, that would actually protect the pension and collective bargaining rights of those 24,000 workers that I represent. Neither the Senator Wiener proposal nor the Mayor of San Jose's proposal can accomplish those two things. For many issues related to federal labor law, as well as many issues of just practicality. So for those reasons, we support the bill and urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now turn to the three additional witnesses that would like to share their concerns. Phone moderator, we'll call on San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo. You may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chairperson Holden and Ranking Member Patterson and the members of the committee for considering my thoughts and for your leadership in this difficult moment. As many of you know, last year we assembled a coalition of more than 200 elected local officials representing more than 9 million Californians to urge a transformation of PG&E, become a more responsible, customer-owned utility. We applaud Senator Hill and the sponsors of SB 350 for their willingness to embrace a nonprofit corporate form for which our coalition has long advocated, to alter the company's ownership structure to ensure that public interest prevails over shareholder interest. Our coalition has consistently emphasized a second goal, however, to dramatically reduce the cost of capital for this utility. Every dollar of interest the utility pays to hedge funds holding high-yield debt will deprive it of resources needed to invest in necessary safety and reliability improvements, will impose higher rates on customers, will weaken the utility's financial viability. Since the utility will require another $40 billion over the next half-decade for overdue safety and reliability improvements, a few dozen basis points of interest will cost ratepayers and residents hundreds of millions of dollars annually and billions cumulatively. All of our many conversations with financial institutions and experts in financial markets reinforce a basic conclusion that the financial markets will punish Golden State in the form of higher financing costs for whatever extent it appears to be vulnerable to political or regulatory risk. Financial markets respond to risk by raising prices, that is, the cost of capital. I emphasize this principle for two reasons in my conclusion. First, amendments proposed to SB 350 to add permanent board members appointed by the legislature and governor will directly result in higher costs for ratepayers without commensurate benefit of reliability, safety, or service quality. Second, we urge the creation of an entity with rate autonomy. This rate autonomy, the ability of an entity to control its rates and capital structure, is the hallmark of more than 800 customer-owned utility cooperatives throughout the nation. We embrace regulation by CPUC and other state agencies over such issues as safety, labor, environmental standards, and clean energy goals, but not rates. We certainly embrace the legislature's desire to make Golden State accountable to the public, which can be assured by adopting a customer-owned or mutual benefit corporation ownership structure that we've long urged. Thank you for considering my views and the views of our coalition. And by the way, we have committed many months ago in our principles that we would protect the pensions of all the IBEW members and all the members who would be employees of the new entity. Thank you.
Thank you. A phone moderator, Mari Rose with Reclaim Your Power Utility Justice Campaign. You may proceed with your testimony. We have a motion.
Good afternoon. Mary Rose.
In a second.
Can you hear me?
We can. We just received a motion recognizing the bill that's in front of us for approval, due pass with amendments, and it's been seconded. So you may proceed.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Rose Tarok with the Reclaim Our Power campaign. We're the largest coalition of tens of thousands of community members from environmental justice communities, wildfire survivors, local clean energy advocates, and youth who are campaigning for utility justice to move us away from the PG&E private corporate model. Our campaign opposes the bailout of PG&E. We want to democratize their energy system, and we want to rebuild a utility system where energy is a human right. We wrote our letter on SB 350 that we support the concept if amended with 5 points. We're very concerned that this SB 350 process is a bullet train ready to leave behind the most impacted communities. But we remind you that the legislature has built in ways to include environmental justice and disadvantaged communities in decision-making and implementation of major climate and energy policies. Examples like the AB 32 Environmental Justice Advisory Committee to the previous well-known SB 350 on our 100% clean energy goals that involve benefiting disadvantaged communities. We want to build that inclusion. We want to see that inclusion built into the governance of the Golden State energy system, and that advisory tables include us to lay the groundwork for the new system. The Reclaim Our Power campaign has been assembling research teams on how we can rebuild a utility that meets community needs. And we don't see that yet in SB 350, and ask you to make those amendments to include frontline communities and workers in the process and governance of this new energy system. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter, phone moderator, is Mayday Sanchez with California Manufacturers Association. You may proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. This is Mayday Sanchez with the California Manufacturers and Technology Association. I'd first like to thank Senator Hill, the Chair, and committee staff for their hard work on this bill and working with us to address our concerns. With the latest committee amendments accepted by the Senator, we have removed our position of concern. Specifically, we were pleased to see amendments that ensured meaningful participation for the public. As the analysis noted, Golden State Energy would be a nonprofit public benefit corporation. Because of this designation, ratepayers are completely liable for the utility, and therefore we believe it is proper that the utility adhere to transparency standards. Moreover, we appreciate the clarification on the meeting of skills matrix, the oversight by the PUC on rate covenants modifications, and lastly, the ability for ratepayers to appeal to the appellate court. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now move to public comment. We are going to first look to see if there's anyone in the chambers, which I see no one else here to testify either in support, opposition, or as a tweener. Phone moderator, do we have any witnesses in support?
Yes, thank you. As a reminder, if you are in support of SB 350 and would like to queue up, please press 1 and then 0. We will begin with line 13. Please go ahead. Line 13, your line is open.
Oh, hi. This is Harlow Pippinger. I'm with Sunrise Bay Area, and I'm actually in between. I think I queued up on the wrong line, but I will support the concept if it is amended with the Reclaim Our Power campaign.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're just asking at this point for those who are weighing in and support, just to state their name, affiliation, and their position on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on, we will go to line 30. Please go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Hi, this is Al Weinrub with the East Bay Clean Power Alliance. Wanted to express our position in between as well. I don't know how we got on the queue, but support the position of Mary Rose Tarouk, Reclaim Our Power.
Thank you.
We go next to line 32. Please go ahead.
Sheila Gunn Cushman with Electricity Equals Life. I'm in between, and no more IOUs. I want to support the Reclaim Our Power thing also.
Thank you.
We're just asking at this point for...
Thank you. We go next to line 39.
For just to state the name.
Yes. Hello. My name is James Finn. I'm a survivor of the Tubbs fire. And I generally support this bill, and I appreciate the addition of the amendment explicitly stating support for compensation of fire victims. I have one request, is that it perhaps be more specific so that there's no confusion, that the compensation for fire victims will be commensurate with
Excuse
the estimated
me, I don't mean
losses.
I don't mean to interrupt, but at this point in the hearing, we're only hearing name, affiliation, and your position on the bill. And as we move to the next speaker, phone moderator, if we could just pause for just a moment. I understand that there may be a proposed number on the call-in number, so I just want to make sure it's clear that those who are calling in on the right number. Area code 877-692-8957, and the access code is 7326242. And again, we're only hearing from those who would like to share their support or opposition, or that they're a tweener, but briefly state your name and your affiliation.
Thank you. And next we have line 33. Your line is open.
Hello, this is Mark Toney from the Utility Reform Network. We support the bill, are concerned that it prohibits CPUC ability to use its inherent authority to revoke PG&E's franchise as a way for transition to Golden State Power.
Thank you.
Next we go to line 38. Please go ahead.
Yes, I support this bill, and I appreciate the leadership of Senator Hill, Senator McGuire, Senator Dodd, and Assemblymember Holden. I would appreciate if this bill doesn't just sit on the shelf, but it's ready to go in the event.
Again,
that
I'm sorry.
PG&E
I
is
don't
not
mean to
able
interrupt
perform
tonight,
their
but I'm
duty.
going to only say this one more time, and then we're going to just have to cut you off. I appreciate the intent of what you're sharing with us, but it is just your name, affiliation, and position on the bill. Thank you.
Our next line is line 18. Please go ahead.
This is Pete Flywoody with the Reclaim Our Power Coalition and the Local Clean Energy Alliance. We support Mary Rose Taruk's tweener status, support if amended.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have line 41. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Shiva Patel with the Center for Biological Diversity. I'm also in line with Mary Rose's position as a tweener, so support with those amendments. Thank you.
Thank you.
We go now to line 24. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Gwen with the Reclaim Our Power campaign, also in support of Mary Rose's tweener status.
Thank you.
We now have line 40. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello, this is Nishikant Shore with the Democratic Socialists of America San Francisco chapter. Tweener in support of Mary Rose's position, support if amended with Reclaim Our Power. Thank you.
Thank you. Phone moderator, are there any other callers for a support, tweener position, or an opposition?
So we will go to line 43. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Gentry. I'm with the Sunrise Movement, and I would like to support if amended with the Reclaim Our Power campaign's 5 points.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we will go to line 21. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Chris Patterson on behalf of Pacific Gas and Electric. Again, in the tweener category, as we don't have a formal position on SB 350. However, we do understand and respect the motivations behind this bill, and frankly know we have a lot to.
And at this time, Mr. Chair, we have no one else in queue.
Okay, and that covers tweeners and opposition as well, right?
At this time, that was just in support. If you are in opposition, please press 1 and then 0 at this time. Do you have line 27? Please go ahead.
Hi, yes. My name is Lincoln Oliver O'Neill, and I am with the Sunrise Movement Bay Area, and I was placed on the opposition line. I was calling in during support and was not heard. I am support if amended in alignment with Reclaim Our Power campaign's 5 points. Thank you.
Moderator,
at this time, if there is anyone in opposition, please press 1 and then 0. We have no one further queuing up at this time.
Thank you. So no additional speakers in opposition.
That is correct.
Thank you. We'll bring it back to the committee and see if any members have comments or questions. Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 questions for the author or for the supporting witness. As you may know, my district has a lot of PG&E employees. It's the largest employer in my district. We also have wildfire issues. Nothing of the likes that has been seen in Northern California, mind you, but it's a significant risk. So my first question is, I understand that this entity would assume the labor contracts of the existing workers, but my read of the bill is that's only through 2025, and I'm wondering if a witness could address why that is and what happens after that. My second question is, what specific mechanisms excuse me, exist to protect fire victims in the event of future fires under the Golden State Entity contract construct? And then my last question is whether the author ever considered a sunset provision, because this is something novel. It occurs to me it's a different kind of hybrid model that hasn't really been tried before, and I'm wondering if there might be merit in the event that is necessary that this bill would take effect, if it might be worth considering some sort of sunset. So I appreciate answers to those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. The first question, it goes to 2025 because it's my understanding the term of the current collective bargaining agreement with the IBEW workers, and they will have another contract after that. And if I'm incorrect in these, my witness can certainly, and I would appreciate her support in that. The wildfires, if I remember correctly, the issues of wildfires coming forward in the future in other areas, that will be certainly the efforts and the liability that comes from that will go to the new entity, Golden State Energy. Whereas they don't have shareholders, they don't have, but they're also, the Golden State Energy is not paying any rate of return, the 10.5% or the $1 billion to $2 billion annually in shareholder profits, those, and it's no longer paying any state income tax. There will be money there that could be used for wildfires, and it will also be part of the wildfire fund that has been created by this legislature and the governor moving forward for them to be able to access those proceeds and funds if they are found liable for those fires. In terms of a sunset, I guess the challenge that I was struggling with on that issue is PG&E is 100 years old, 150 years old almost. And this occurred later in their life. We saw the changes after, I think, the energy crisis of 2000, when leadership changed and became much more interested in the bottom line than the power line. And that really became, I think, the challenge for the utility. That could happen again. And I don't want to take a chance for us or our next generations to be struggling with this same issue 10 years from now, 15 years from now, because it could occur. And trusting the PUC today as I do, where I did not 10 years ago, I have confidence that this would only be used if necessary and under the strictest of circumstances that would warrant a major shift and change from an investor-owned utility to a public benefit nonprofit corporation. So thank you for that question. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other members? Mr. Mays?
Just to follow up on that, you'd said at the beginning this was a proposal that you hoped we wouldn't have to use, but it's there if we need it, if PG&E doesn't come out of bankruptcy. Is this the only entity, or could this body come up with another program? For instance, if they didn't come out of bankruptcy, could PG&E, the service area, be split into different areas, or is this the only model?
Well, this is the model that has been created so that in the event that, one, it does not exit bankruptcy on June 30th, as it's identified to do, and doesn't secure the financing necessary by September 30th when the bankruptcy is complete. But equally as important is going forward and the challenges that they could face in the future if they place themselves in the same precarious position that they have in the past in terms of maintenance, in terms of diversion of resources from safety, from operations to profits and bonuses and executives. If that were to occur again, then that would be necessary for this to transition into something that I think would be warranted. I don't think that it will be necessary. There are other options that are available if PG&E fails at any one of those junctures. And that would be up to a receiver that would be appointed by the PUC, perhaps by the courts. The receiver would then look at options and opportunities to make sure that the lights stay on in the PG&E service area and that the utility can continue to function. Certainly, with our legislation today, and hopefully with your vote today, that will move this Golden State Energy into a position that it is able to nimbly take over that operation through either eminent domain or through a purchase because of the iBank financing that's available. It will be able to be that initial and the best positioned opportunity for the ratepayers in California. That doesn't say that there won't be someone else that may come along, that may be a company that come and another investor-owned utility that may want to purchase the equipment and the company. That could happen as well. But we will be in a position that I believe will provide the best service and the opportunity to be that safe utility going forward. But that, again, we're not the only game in town in the future.
Any other members? Ms. Aguilar-Cutter.
I just have a few comments. I want to thank you, Assemblymember Holden and Senator Hill, on putting this bill together. I appreciate all the work of the authors, the committee staff, legislative leadership, and the governor's office who led our work group on the PG&E bankruptcy. I hope this success demonstrates to the administration the value of working with the legislature this closely on important policy initiatives. We were mindful, we were thoughtful. These recent amendments strengthen the bill and provide our state with a necessary Plan B public utility option should PG&E again fail to meet its responsibilities. Moving forward, I'm most concerned about wildfire victims and ratepayers. If PG&E continues to exist, victims of the wildfires caused by PG&E must be immediately and fairly compensated for the pain and loss they have endured. In addition, if this bill does not take effect, the PUC must be diligent in assuring that PG&E shareholders actually share the burden of the liability, deferred maintenance, and other responsibilities PG&E has ignored or mismanaged for decades. Let's remember, ratepayers did not cause this mess. They should not again shoulder the financial burden of reforming PG&E practice and management in the second bankruptcy in just 20 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to join your committee today and for all your work on SB 350.
Thank you. Ms. Reyes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the author's intent to ensure that the state have a Plan B should PG&E not fail to adopt the reforms that change their behavior. And I really appreciate the comments from my colleague from Winters. Working on that committee was extremely important, and it was important that the administration and the legislature work together on trying to find a solution. Mr. Hill, Senator Hill, I appreciate all the work that went into this. At the heart of this is our families who deserve to have reliable and affordable energy, whether it's provided by PG&E or GSE. When I voted for AB 1054, your bill, Mr. Chair, I knew that something had to be done and that justice needed to be served in order to ensure the safety of all of our families. I understand the need for this measure, and I appreciate the author working with the committee, with the chair, to address concerns previously raised by this committee as outlined in the amendments and in the analysis, proposed amendments in the analysis which have now been accepted. I think these further add to transparency in the creation of GSE, and I am pleased to support the measure today.
Seeing no other members wishing to speak, Senator Hill, I just joined with the committee in thanking you and also the governor for recognizing some of the important amendments that we needed to make to the bill. And it was all in the spirit of cooperation, and I appreciate your working with us. As was mentioned, governance and transparency are very important, and as I know you know that. And so I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for accepting all of the amendments. As the committee may know, that the amendments are going to actually be taken up in Appropriations Committee, which this will move to be heard. The bill will be heard tomorrow. And so today it will be a straight due pass. And that's how the motion that was made and seconded. Senator Hill, you can close if you wish.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I really appreciate the discussion today and the thoughts and concerns expressed, and I appreciate them and the hard work that members of this committee have participated in and put into the last 6 months, working with in collaboration with the governor's office throughout the entire bankruptcy process, which brought us closer to that, a better understanding of it, and I believe a better appreciation of the creation of a Plan B, which is what we have today in front of us. So I've long struggled by PG&E's business as usual, and the utility, I think we all can agree, must change. I desire this present bankruptcy, as unfortunate and unnecessary as it has been, to be a moment of critical realization for the company. The same talking points and press releases followed by years of inaction just won't cut it any longer. And as much as we push forward with that change, we must also be prepared to step in should the company not meet its obligations or commitments in the future. SB 350 is our preparation. I hope it's unnecessary and that it's never triggered. But we owe this preparation to the residents of San Bruno and Santa Rosa and Napa and Butte County and Paradise, to all ratepayers in PG&E's service territory and to the state at large. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, colleagues.
You know, Senator, I know that we'll have other bills that will make their way to our committee before the end of the session, but I did want to take this moment and just, because I know that this is your last year and you term out, but you have been and continue to be a stand-up person, a man of his word, and committed to doing the right thing. And so I just want the record to reflect that.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Holden?
Aye.
Holden, aye. Patterson? Patterson not voting. Burke? Burke, aye. Carrillo? Carrillo, aye. Chen? Chen, no. Cunningham? I'm sorry, Cunningham? Not voting?
No.
Oh, no, pardon me. Eggman? Eggman, aye.
Thank you, Susan.
Christina Garcia? Aye.
Thank you, Christina.
Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Mays? Mays, aye.
Thanks,
Mertsuchi? Mertsuchi, aye. Aguiar Curry? Aguiar Curry, aye. Reyes? Reyes, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye.
The bill carries. All members voting.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. Thank you.
12 to 2.
Appreciate hearing that.
12 in favor, 2 opposed, and we thank you, Senator Hill. And
thank you, colleagues. Appreciate it very much.
This meeting, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.